Okay. And I think we're connected. We're live on Facebook. And good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us for our second week. Hello from Vegas, from wherever you're following us, let us know. Today we're coming in with our second part of uh, tips and how that change came into play with the OBBA rules. And today we have our panel again. My name is Vicente here with Latino Tax Pro, and today we are joining us. We have Diego, Franco, and Mr. Lopez. Last week I introduced you guys, and but this time I would like for you guys to give out a little bit more about yourselves, a quick introduction, and we'll start with you, Diego.
Hey, thank you, Vince. So a little bit about myself. Been with the company here, Latino Tax Pro and Lopez Tax Service. This is my fourth year. Been in the sales and support role when it comes to Latino tax professionals. And when it's tax season, I roll my sleeves up and I work with clients. I prepare taxes, and I have a great time doing that during the tax season. So I'm one of you guys.
Diego, thank you, Diego. Franco, do you mind introducing yourself? I know you have Luis, but what's your preference?
Yeah, so my name is Luis Franco. However, just like Vince mentioned, I prefer to go by my last name. It sounds a little bit cooler. So that's what I prefer. You can call me Franco. I've been with the company Lopez Tax and Latino Tax Pro since 2021, May of 2021. I've been preparing taxes since then. And also I'm a CAA, so I help people get their ITINs, you know, for their children, their dependents, stuff like that. Also, year-round accountant for the companies. So that's what I do, and been enjoying it. Been enjoying learning a lot about taxes, helping people bring that tax liability down, and also making sure we have our numbers. That's me.
Awesome. Thank you, Franco. Um, and for those that still may have not heard of you, Mr. Lopez, do you mind introducing yourself?
Sure. After you, Vince, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, and then I'll talk about myself.
Yeah, absolutely. So for those that don't know me, my name is Vicente, and I usually go by Vince. I've been in the company for the last, I want to say about 14, 15 years. I think I stopped counting after the second year. My background is in accounting. I actually have an accounting degree, but I've started doing taxes. And I'm actually in one of our tax offices here, leading our team. I'm also the sales manager at Latino Tax Pro and leading our sales team out there as well. I enjoy it. I enjoy um, helping people. And more importantly, I was just finishing up with a client, getting to figure out how else can we help them reduce their tax liability is one of the reasons why I enjoy and love doing this. So that's a little bit about myself. I'll share a little bit more in the next one.
All right. Thank you, Vince. Yeah, and my name is Carlos Lopez. I'm an enrolled agent. I've been preparing taxes for quite a while, since 1983. And I'm the founder and president of Lopez Tax Service and Latino Tax Pro. One of the things that I really enjoy is teaching others all the things that I've learned through the years and to help other people become prosperous. And helping others is the best way to help ourselves. So today we're going to help you out understanding that new One Big Beautiful Bill Act. Now, I've heard it called several other things, but today we'll refer to it as the OBBBA or OB3. And last week we talked about no tax on overtime. Of course, there's limitations to it. Today we're going to start off with no tax on tips. And so this bill did save a lot of taxes for a lot of middle income people, especially the working class. So qualified tips we'll start off with qualified tips. Those are voluntary cash or charge tips received from customers or through sharing with each other. So it has to be from a qualified company, and the IRS has a list of what's qualified, and it's going to be the usual restaurants, hospitality places, uh, your hairdresser, and so on. It's not going to be your accounting office or your dental office, somewhere where you don't normally get tips. It's somewhere that is normally tipped through the customer. Now, those mandatory service charges are not tips. So you have to be careful that it's qualified tips. And the maximum annual deduction is $25,000 per taxpayer. So if you're a married couple, you could possibly deduct up to $50,000 in tips. It's a pretty good chunk of money. And one of the things that we talked about was you need to bring in your W-2 and your last pay stub. Because if the tips don't show up on your W-2, or if they're different than your pay stub, you want to deduct the amount that is the highest. And so bring those into you, have your clients bring those into you. All right. So anybody else want to add in?
I'll go ahead and add in a little bit of where you can find that figure, right, Mr.
Okay.
Lopez?
Good, thanks.
The W-2 specifically, if it is on the W-2, you'll see it on box 7, right? So that's that figure that you want to look for in the W-2. But like Mr. Lopez said, you also want to double check and verify the final pay stub.
What about box 14, Diego? Would there be any reason to look at box 14?
And box 14, we won't see anything related to tips. It'll be all overtime.
Okay.
Also, I just want to specify, Mr. Lopez kind of touched on it a little bit. It'll be your usual people, like your hairdressers, but the IRS does have a list, and I'll just kind of go into a little bit more specifics. So they have a category of beverage and food service. So that'll be like bartenders, wait staff, food servers, hosts, bussers, baristas, etc. They also have hospitality and guest services, which would be baggage porters, bellhops, concierges, hotel and resort desk clerks, and housekeepers. Personal appearance would be like your hairdressers, your barbers, hairstylists, cosmetologists. Also transportation and delivery. That's your taxi driver, your Uber drivers, delivery people, valet attendants. And then personal services would be like pet caretakers, nannies, babysitters, and stuff. If you want the full list, you can go to the IRS publication, but that kind of covers a lot of the ones that we'll see mostly with that qualify for this tip deduction.
I did have a client yesterday. He's in the bartending services in fast food restaurant, or not fast food, a restaurant. He's a server, and in his W-2, I found the allocations on box number 7. In our system that the automatic calculation, so which was pretty cool. But that's just when they're reporting it. And I guess my question would be more, are there compliance risks that tax professionals should be careful about?
Yeah, you want to make sure that you're reporting exactly what your client gives you. You don't want to embellish anything. If the client tells you, "Oh well, my pay stub has 8,000 on it, but I really received 10,000 in tips. You know, if it isn't quantified or qualified, don't do it.
Yeah, I think based on that return alone, when I was doing it, I did see that and verified with the client as well. Made my due diligence, added my notes in our system as far as the questions that I asked and the response that I received from the client. I, I, I believe it's just like the overtime, somewhat easy to manipulate, but as professionals or tax professionals, um, what advice would you give us, Mr. Lopez? Considering you have I think only a few years in the industry.
Just a few. Well, my advice would be to employers. You should, if you didn't do it last year, do it now. Prepare to make sure that you have proper accounting and record keeping compliance. You want to also make sure that you constantly communicate with your employees, let them know about these changes. And you need to understand what qualified overtime compensation is and what qualified tip income is. Now, and then be prepared to explain the favorable tax treatment to your employees. They're there for a reason. They're there to make your job profitable, and you want to make sure that you're reporting it fairly and reporting it accurately. And we recommend to use a very reputable payroll company. There's a lot of them out there that are, they're probably pounding on your door daily or sending you emails trying to get you to change payroll companies. I know we get those every so often, but we have our payroll done by a professional worldwide payroll company, and we recommend you do the same. I know that it's a little bit cheaper if you do it yourself on QuickBooks, but remember, QuickBooks is just a tool. It's not the actual reporting company. They'll report what you tell them to report, and if you get into trouble with the IRS or the state employment development department, there's no Mr. QuickBooks to help you out. You're pretty much on your own, or you have to hire a company like ours to come in and help straighten you out. And then we'll tell you you should be going to a large company that's reputable and they will actually cover their mistakes. So whatever small fee they charge you for running your payroll, it's so worth it to make sure that you have peace of mind and that your mistakes are covered by them. And especially like here in California, you just got to be on top of it. Any
Yeah,
state.
yeah, absolutely. And I think it's always great as well. You can find some of these solutions that are, if you haven't heard about it, our Latino Tax Fest coming up in June. I think it's a great segue as well, and a good a point for us to invite our audience to ask any questions. If you can submit your questions in the Q&A, that would be great. That helps us keep track of who's asking the question and in what order, and then we're going to tackle as many as we can. If you're following us outside of the Zoom platform, for example, YouTube, Facebook, or LinkedIn, any of those platforms, submit your question, and I will read those out to the team out here, the panel, and we'll answer them. But yeah, I think it's always great, Mr. Lopez, to have these type of solutions and all these partnerships that definitely throughout the years we've worked really hard to maintain them and bring you the most up-to-date tools, solutions, and whatever's going to help you streamline it. I know at Latino Tax Pro, we love technology and we embrace it. and that's one of the things that keeps us in the forefront. But anything else that you would want to add, Diego or Franco?
Yeah, so I do have here on my screen, I want to pull up the Schedule 1A and kind of go over where exactly we should be seeing the figure on the no tax and tips. So let me here just share my screen.
Well, before he shares that, I need to clarify something. I said 25,000 per person. I'm sorry, it's 12,500 per person, 25,000 married filing joint. So I needed to clarify that. Sorry.
Thank you for that, Mr. Lopez.
All right,
All
so
right. You
let's
should
see.
be able to share your screen now, Diego.
Okay, so are you guys able to see here my screen right now?
Yes,
Yes.
This is
sir.
the Schedule 1A additional deductions, right? More specifically on the no tax on tips, we're gonna go and review part 2, right? You'll see here, no tax on tips. And if we look at the form, it tells you on 4A, enter qualified tips included on Form W2, Box 7, right? So you'll follow the instructions, review Box 7, and the figure that's in there, that's what you're gonna input in 4A. From 4A, the figure ultimately transfers to the 1040. Specifically, 13B is you'll see a deduction here. All right, so be sure to review and ensure that the software you're using is capturing those figures and is transferring to again Schedule 1A and onto the 1040 13B.
I do have something to say. So essentially, this reporting the tips is not an unusual thing. Like this should have been done. The only thing that's new is that we can deduct a portion of the tips. That's what the OBBBA is about. But if you are in a qualified profession, say a server, you should always be seeing it in box 7, just like Diego said. However, there have been, and someone asked on the chat, instances where you do see it on 14, box 14 as qualified tips, I believe. So you want to double check that box just in case. But typically, you know, the tips, it's not a new thing. So the payroll company should have, whoever runs your payroll should have that down. They should have a procedure for that. But just with this new one, just double check your box 14, just in case maybe the payroll department is learning. You just want to double check everything. And then also just do your due diligence, right? If there is a qualified tips on box 14, but you realize that they're, I don't know, a profession that doesn't qualify, say like Mr. Lopez used the dentist, right? Then we're not going to be able to take that deduction, even though it's there, right? You want to do your due diligence and make sure that they actually qualify for it. You know, you check their threshold, like if the exclusion is a 150K, right, as a single person. So if they make over that, they're also not going to qualify. If they're a lawyer, they're not going to qualify, right? It's only the professions that we said, the income threshold that we said, and only up to the 25,000 per return that Mr. Lopez mentioned as well.
Yeah, thank you, Franco. Oh, what about a tax pro that gets a tip?
I was just going to talk about that.
Yeah. Yeah. Or yeah, Mr. Lopez.
You know, I got a tip, believe it or not, a couple of years ago. And I felt flattered. I go, wow, they gave me a tip. But unfortunately, we're not one of those qualifying companies. Besides that, I have yet to have an employee come up to me and say, "Oh, Mr. Lopez, I need to report this tip to you." So it's going to be
Oh,
pretty tough to put those on a W-2 if it doesn't get reported to us. But it isn't a qualifying tip, but you should report all your income. I'm not saying don't report it. I'm just saying. And also, I want to bring up another point. I want to ask you guys a question. It's a panel here. What about if your client comes in and they're married filing separate?
But that's a good question. Let me ask Professor Google real quick. Uh,
I can
if
tell
they,
you.
yeah, I was gonna say they for married filing separate, they would fall under the single rules, right?
It wouldn't be eligible.
Oh,
Yeah,
not
remember,
eligible.
yeah, married filing separate is the worst filing status you can claim. You know, you don't get child credits, you don't get earned income tax credits, you're not eligible for the tip deduction. There's just a lot of reasons not to file married filing separate. There are some reasons, but we're not going to go into that because that's not what we're talking about today. But there could be a reason or two for going married filing separate. I've had them in the past, very few considering the many returns that I have filed over the past decades. But in this new law, and there's another provision in this law. Does anybody remember what it is about not being eligible for the tip deduction?
You have to have a valid social security number.
Yes. Our I-10 brothers do not qualify for this deduction. Got to have a valid social security number. Now, what about if they're a mixed couple? One has a social security, one has an I-10. What's deductible in that case?
Only the social?
The valid social security holder does get the deduction.
Yeah.
But the I-10 holder does not. So if they both get tips, the I-10 holder is going to have to report that as income. But the social security number holder will be able to take advantage of this deduction.
Up to 12,500.
Yeah, 12,500, up to 12,500.
Cool. We did start getting some questions here. Where's that at? Right here. So we have one. This one's from the overtime. I had a W-2 on box 12 OT exempt Q. I took it uh, like I had said exempt. Was I correct?
Yes. However, you want to verify that figure with the final pay stub to make sure that you're taking the higher deduction, how Mr. Lopez informed us earlier.
Cool. Thank you. And this one's for you, Mr. Lopez, from Maricela, and it says, Hola a todos. Hi, everybody in the panel. Mr. Lopez, those 12,500, is it for individuals and 25,000 for jointly? But what if they're making over 150,000 for single and 300,000 married filing joint? Would they still qualify, or does it start phasing out?
Those are the phase out limits, Maricela. Good question. It does phase out. One of my employees had a return, and I believe the couple made over 300,000, and it reduced the maximum deduction, I think, down to about $1,200. So your software should do that for you, but it does phase out. Good question.
Yeah. Perfect. And yeah, if anybody else has any additional questions, you can submit them here in the chat in the Q&A box, or if you're following us in one of our platforms, you can submit the questions and we can answer those here live. And we are approaching our half an hour mark. Is there anything else that you guys wanna add or tackle on as we wait for more questions?
Well, one thing I wanted to add is at the Latino Tax Fest this year, which is on June 22nd through the 25th. This year, Latino Tax Pros is becoming your business and financial literacy training center. So what you're going to notice this year is a lot more classes on how to run your business, how to start a business, how to set up your office. There's just a lot more that we're doing now because we've had so many people that have had so much success with our continuing education that they're wanting to start their own business and become entrepreneurs. And we're going to have some really good topics there. We're going to have an I-10 panel there to review how the I-10s have changed this year. The pitfalls of that OB3, let's discuss those. Let's talk about it. What can we do better? And I wanted to ask everybody a question. How has it been contacting and communicating with the IRS? Has it been better? Has it been worse? Do you have any suggestions as to what you've been doing to contact the IRS? So those are the kinds of things you can expect now from Latino Tax Pro. And we are going to reinvent our website. So you will see some new features on the website coming shortly.
Yeah, definitely. I think this is a year where evolution is inevitable. So
Yeah.
we've definitely are planning a lot of great stuff, not only as a company, but for the community. We want to make sure that everybody gets to their goals as best as possible as we bring in all these solutions. Um, Latino Tax Fest is one amazing place to go and network where you can meet people from I think one of the situations was I didn't know that you were my neighbor down the road. And it's great. They got to meet at our event. There's a lot of great things that have had happened there. Diego, do you want to share anything from your experience?
From the fest, it's always great seeing putting a face to the voice, right? We're on the phone talking to clients, and we build that relationship with the clients over the phone. That once we see each other face to face, it's amazing to see how it's like we've known each other for years. There's no awkward silence. It's like, oh my God, it's so great to see you, and yeah, how we can help each other move forward, and that's what I like to see at the fest. Every year it's increasing, and that's what I like the most about the fest right there.
That's your feedback. Awesome. Thank you, Diego. That's always great feedback. We always get compliments from the clients finally coming up to the booth and saying, "Oh, nice to finally meet you, Diego, in person." But I know as somebody that runs more from behind the scenes like Franco, what's your experience on that? I know you're not on the phone front and center like Diego maybe, but you're more in the background. Um, Processing payrolls, getting up to date, filing tax returns. What has your experience been? You've been to a couple of the events.
Yeah, I have been. Well, for me, it's most exciting, same to meet people. I'm not on the phones with them all the time, but I do get interactions with them. I get some of the emails asking to be helped on certain courses, stuff like that. But also just seeing the success that everyone has had year after year, right? You kind of recognize the same people, and instead of them being down here, now they're a little bit more elevated. And each year, that's what we hope for everyone to come in, learn, absorb, take what they learned at our event and put that out into practice through their work and with their clients. And then next year you see them just a little bit more elevated. And that's personally what I like. It's the gratification that we get from putting, all those people in the same place, networking and learning from each other.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, and it's great. Um, and I know we're working on our schedule. We're going to be releasing out here in the next few days, maybe next week. We're going to have something ready for everybody to see what we're going to be covering up with. this year. Is there any specific topic that you want to share today, Mr. Lopez, to be in the or um, let me rephrase this question. Is there an area where you would recommend something about networking or
Yeah.
getting a lot of knowledge,
Yeah, one of our
insights?
themes this year is networking to net worth. Surround yourself with successful people. We know so many of our clients, attendees, and listeners today are entrepreneurs. And if you are an entrepreneur and you want to participate in a national conference as an exhibitor, what's new this year is our Startup Row. You can actually exhibit at the fest with all the big boys, Intuit, Drake, Crosslink, all the big companies, and you can be right there in Startup Row, where all the attendees can come by and ask you what you do, and you can meet people. We're also going to have some advanced tracks, and we're also going to have a new uh, meet an attorney, meet an estate attorney, meet a realtor who's also a tax pro, meet a financial planner, find out what they're doing. And these are going to be during the breaks, and you can go in there. And like I said, this is all going to be network to net worth. Surround yourself with successful people. Just like you're here today. You're here today to learn from successful professionals. Do the same thing at the fest, only do it live.
Awesome. Yeah. So with this, we conclude our presentation. Thank you, Mr. Lopez. And looking forward to a little bit more, seeing that schedule out for everybody that we usually release it through our email. So if you're subscribed to our newsletters, make sure you open them. And if not, if you haven't received our emails, you can subscribe in our page, latinotaxpro.com. But with that, we conclude. Any closing remarks, either from Franco, Diego, or Mr. Lopez?
Next week, what are we going to talk about next week, Vince?
Next week, we actually have about credits. We've been getting a lot of questions of child tax credit, additional child tax credit. What's a refundable credit, and what's a non-refundable credit? What's different? So we're going to be talking a little bit about that. And then we're also going to throw in a little mix of items in there. Do they qualify for credits? And if so, what credits do they qualify for? So I'm looking forward to that. And closing it, I know we're not there yet, but closing our series, we're going to be going over that form that Diego had brought up, Form 1A, and basically tying it all back together is the purpose behind all of this. So looking forward to that. Any closing remarks, Mr. Lopez?
See you next week.
See you guys next week. And thank you everybody for tuning in today. I know that everybody's busy right now with tax season, so thank you everybody for taking some time out of your busy day and joining us here. So thank you everybody. Thank you, Franco, Diego, and Mr. Lopez. Hopefully everybody enjoys the rest of their day and has a great rest of the tax season.